and welcome back to the Bella Grayce podcast, where we are helping powerhouse professionals reclaim their peace, restore their balance, and reignite their purpose. I'm your host, Teresa, and today's episode is all about recapping our Reclaim Your Energy live series that I did on Facebook. It was a 5-day journey that challenged us to take an honest look at where we are in managing our emotional energy, our mental energy, and our physical energy. If you have been feeling tired all the time, not just physically, but emotionally drained, mentally scattered, and spiritually off, then this episode is for you. So together we are going to walk through each day that I did on the live series and break it down. So on day 1, we talked about where did my energy go? We kicked off by answering a hard but important question. Where is all of your energy going? We looked at the signs of burnout from an energy perspective. So this can look like feeling tired even after resting, being disengaged, forgetful, or cynical. So I shared that my signs that I am burning out energetically is that I am really short with people. I start to get really frustrated really quickly. I take long naps and I'm still exhausted. I go to bed early, wake up, on a routine, and I still feel so tired. I don't want to engage with my family. I just want to sit on the couch and kind of zone out. I just don't feel like doing much of anything. I might start to withdraw from my friends and family. I might start to decline events simply because I am exhausted. So there is a difference between saying no to things out of healthy boundaries and saying no to things because you're completely disengaged, because you're burning out. So how your energy levels, we also talked about how your energy levels leak and how these leaks come from places like unclear boundaries, people pleasing, multitasking, or emotional suppression. So when we have unhealthy boundaries or unclear boundaries, then we are allowing people to use us in ways that are draining to our energy. So we need to have clear boundaries with the people around us. Setting clear boundaries gives them a framework for interacting with you, and it gives you a well-rounded place to be able to say yes and no to things because you know what your boundaries are. Energy leaks can happen when we are suffering from people pleasing. And I am a recovering people pleaser, y'all. I was a people pleaser for years because I wreaked havoc on my life. And so then I thought that I had to say yes to everything to keep everybody happy. You, my friend, are not a taco. You are not meant to make everybody happy. Everybody loves tacos. I don't know anybody who doesn't. You might have a different opinion on what you like in your taco, but I'm pretty sure everybody likes tacos. You are not a taco, my friend. You were not made to make everybody happy. So stop trying to please everybody because people pleasing depletes your energy levels. It is an energy leak. So let's stop the people pleasing. If you need help doing that, trying to figure out why you people please and how to quit, holler at me. I help people break free from people pleasing all the time. It's one of my favorite things to do. Another energy leak that we talked about was multitasking. Okay, so I don't know how many job descriptions I have read that say that they are looking for someone who can multitask. I have news for you, my friend. Multitasking is not a great thing. It drains our energy. We need to be able to focus, hone in on, and really give all of our attention to one thing at a time so that we can accomplish that thing well. Because when you're multitasking, balls get dropped, things get lost. Think about it. If you are putting away stuff at the end of the day, cleaning up after your family, and you're putting things back where they belong, but you are also simultaneously thinking about your to-do list for tomorrow, trying to figure out what you're going to wear, thinking about the party that you have to go to this weekend. Did I buy a present? Did I not buy a present? Oh, yeah, I need to go buy a present. Okay, that means I have to stop at Walmart tomorrow. So that means I have to leave the house 30 minutes early so that I can stop on the way to work. And now you have forgotten where you set your keys, because you set them down while you were distracted because you were attempting to multitask the task of cleaning up the house and the task of arranging your day for the next day. Imagine what would happen if you focused solely on putting away the objects that your family has left strewn about your house, and you know exactly where you put the keys because you are consciously aware of where you put the keys, because your conscious is focused on where you're setting the keys and not focused on going to Walmart in the morning before work. So that can carry over into all aspects of our lives, especially when it comes to work. If we are multitasking, we are not going to do any one task at 100%. And multitasking is not a badge of honor. Some people do it well, but most of us are not great multitaskers. We need to make sure that we are focusing on one task at a time so that we can dedicate our best, most attention to that task at hand and do it to the best of our abilities. So if you need options, ideas on how to cut back on multitasking, I like to offer time blocking as an option. I always time block things that I need to do, or at least I put them on the to-do list. If they come to my mind, I send myself a voice memo. I will put it on my calendar app for on my tasks for the day. That way I write it down. I don't forget about it. I know what it is later when I actually have time to sit down and work on it, and it doesn't take away from my attention on the task at hand right now. So I always suggest having Post-it notes. I am a digital note-taking girl. I have my digital pad here. But when I have something come to mind really quickly that I need to write down so that I can focus on it later, I will put it on a Post-it note. Or I have some little spirals laying around. I scribble it down and I keep that little scribble until it is done. And I then throw away the Post-it note or the scribble, scratch it out because I know it's complete. But then I am able to better focus on what I am working on in that moment without having to be distracted by this shiny little idea that popped into my brain. And I don't forget about it because I have some of my best ideas when I am doing something totally random. So I don't want to forget what my idea was. So let me write it down so that I can come back to it and focus fully on it later. So that is multitasking. Emotional suppression. Emotional suppression happens when we are being asked to do things that are emotionally draining, but we don't tell anybody that it is emotionally draining, or we just push through the task that was emotionally draining. So this is really big for caregivers. So if you have an aging parent or you have a sick child or a sick spouse who is going through treatments, chronic care, maybe an acute something that has popped up, and it is like, okay, it's all hands on deck. We've got to all pitch in and help and make sure that the family keeps going while our loved one is sick. If you are a veterinarian, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, someone, a waitress, like a hairdresser, I'm serious, like people who are in positions where they are interacting with people who are in high emotional situations. Those are emotionally taxing situations, and they are drain leaks, they're energy leaks for us because it takes energy to deal with these situations. And so you need to take the time to actually feel the emotions that it brings up in you rather than suppress them. Because when we suppress those emotions, it is going to drain our energy. It takes more energy to squish the Jack in the Box down into the Jack in the Box box than it does for that Jack in the Box to release, right? So it takes pressure to push that spring down into the box. So that pressure that you're using to suppress your inner or your emotions is draining your energy. So instead, we need to feel the emotions, let them out, talk to somebody about them. In the live, I actually use the example of how dogs shake. If you have a dog, you've probably seen your dog shake after you scare them, after they scare themselves, after they've gotten really excited. That is the way that animals, their dogs specifically, release their emotional energy. They shake it out. So we've got to find a way to shake out our emotional energy because it is not built into us instinctively to shake out our emotions. So if you go through a big moment, if you have big emotions, if your parent is ill, if your child is ill and you're caring for them, we have to have a healthy way to release those emotions. Something that isn't going to numb the emotions like drugs or alcohol, but something that is truly going to allow us to feel the emotions. So this could look like going for a run. Running releases endorphins. It helps us release some of the negative energy. Going for a walk, painting, meditating, laying in the middle of the floor with some soothing music coming on and just letting yourself feel the emotions. Maybe you have a cry fest. I used to, after my fiance died, and my daughter was very young and I didn't want her to have to see me crying all the time. So I would go into the bathroom, I would turn on the shower, I'd get in the shower, I'd turn on some really sappy, sad music, and I would just cry, just feel all the pain, feel all the sadness and the anger and the disappointment. Just feel it all and cry my eyes out in the shower. And it was the most cathartic emotional release ever. And so I just want to invite you to discover ways to stop suppressing your emotions so that those suppressed emotions stop leaking your energy level. It's going to leak your energy. I use the example of a gas tank. Every time you have an emotional situation, it is going to reduce the amount of gas that you have in your tank. And if you are actively trying to suppress those emotions, well, it's going to use even more fuel. It's like traveling uphill in your vehicle. When you travel uphill, you use more gas. So, of course, if you're traveling uphill emotionally, it is going to use more gas. So, we got to find a way to refuel or to release our big emotions so that we are not suppressing them. Imagine going down the hill in your car. Your car is using a lot less energy. So because you're going downhill, we got to find a way to let those emotions out and not suppress them. So we also talked about how not all rest restores us. Sometimes our so-called rest is just a pause in the chaos. It's not actually restoration. And so finding ways to truly rest, and it can be active rest, but it needs to be true rest. So sometimes I will go take a nap, and throughout my nap, my smartwatch will go off 15 million times. And instead of resting, I am sort of unconsciously, consciously, subconsciously silencing the notifications on my watch as they come through. So that nap is not actually restful. It seems like I am resting, but I am not actually thoroughly, fully resting because I am my brain has not shut off completely. So instead, I will take off my smartwatch, put my phone on do not disturb, and truly rest. For me lately, a moment of rest throughout the day has become my lunch break. So I will take a picture of my food because I have to send it to my dietitian and take a picture of my food, but I leave my phone on my desk and I go sit at my dining room table and actually have lunch. I don't look at my phone. I don't look at the TV. I just sit there and I eat. And I try not to let my thoughts wander. I try not to think about the to-do list. I literally focus on how my food tastes, how it feels in my mouth, the temperature of it. Do I like this food combination? Those sorts of things. Truly resting during my mealtime and turning off the notifications in my brain. It has taken some practice, but with practice, you can do it. It's just like meditation. The first few times you meditate, it is really hard to really silence the thoughts that are flowing through you. But as you practice meditation, and everybody always says, like, meditation is a practice because it takes time and you actually have to practice at it. It takes time to learn how to shut off your brain so that you can just meditate on whatever it is that you are meditating on the goodness of God, meditating on um your future, meditating on the being grateful for where you are today, meditating on the fact that you have time to meditate, being grateful for that, showing gratitude for yourself for making time to meditate. But just figuring out what actually rests you. What does actual rest look like for you? For some people, rest might actually look like going for a walk. It is a time that you don't have to look at your phone. You don't have a special destination in mind. You are literally just walking to reset your mind, relax your body, maybe help your food digest. But what is it? What does rest that restores you look like? What does that look like? Not just a pause in the chaos, but actual restoration. What does that look like for you? So, we also talked about the importance of tracking your energy throughout the day to find your personal energy highs and energy lows. So, when I started working with my dietitian, she literally had me journal everything that I ate throughout the day so that I could see in pictures and on print what I was eating when and why I was eating it. Was I actually hungry? Was I bored? And so this got a really good picture for me of when I eat, why, and what I am eating. And so it has really helped me to shift my perspective and to realize that my food really is an energy source and how to leverage that. So I do this with my clients who are trying to break free from mindsets, behaviors, or substances. So I will have them journal every time they felt like drinking or felt like people pleasing or felt like fill in the blank, whatever it is that we are working on together. Procrastination, watching porn. There's all kinds of things that I help people break free from. And so I have them journal. I do not ask them to quit initially. I'm like, I don't need you to change anything in our first few sessions. I just need us to get an idea of what is driving this behavior. When do you get the inclination to do this behavior? What has happened just before? What has happened just after? How do you respond? Do you give in? All of those things. So it really is about tracking your energy throughout the day. When does it get high? When does it get low? When do you feel like you can't make it through the rest of the day? When do you reach for another espresso or coffee? When do you realize that you are yawning throughout the whole meeting? When do you just want to cry because you feel so exhausted that you cannot make one single more decision? So really get in tune with and start tracking your energy throughout the day, so that you know your energy highs and your energy lows. And this might also help you to determine what gives you energy and what depletes your energy. Okay, so on day 2, we talked all about emotional energy, compassion fatigue, and empathy overload. This one is a big one, especially for caretakers, parents, coaches, and truly empathetic people. We call them empaths. So, again, this is a big one for you guys, for us. I am one of those people, because we tend to give of our compassion, our empathy, and we don't always replenish those things. So, the difference between compassion and empathy, we talked about this. The difference between compassion is when you have compassion for someone, you feel for them. You have sympathy for them. It's very similar to sympathy. So you have compassion for them. You feel bad for them. You want to do something for them. You wish that you could make their circumstances different. When you have empathy for someone, that is when you are walking in their shoes. You literally put yourself in their shoes. You feel the emotions that they are feeling. You know how they could be feeling. You may not know exactly how they are feeling, but you know how they could be feeling. We talked about how unchecked empathy can lead to overwhelm. So, if you are constantly putting yourself in someone else's shoes, feeling the way that you think that they are feeling, this is emotionally draining. So, we need to learn how to set healthy boundaries around this. We can protect our heart without completely shutting it off. This also works with compassion. We need to know when to set healthy boundaries. You can be fully engaged in a conversation with someone. You can care for them through this situation without having to take on the emotional burden of their situation. You are not Superman. You are not made to save everyone. You do not have superpowers. So we need to make sure that we are putting healthy boundaries around our heart so that we are protecting it, but without shutting it off, without being cold and callous. And so this is something that I actually help my clients with as well, learning how to be present without suffering from empathy overload and compassion fatigue. So, pretending that we're okay or powering through the pain, it drains our energy reserves. That goes back to emotional suppression. We have to stop powering through the pain just because someone else is going through a tough situation. So, I had a friend who had a loved one pass away, and I was honored to be able to be there for her. It brought up a lot of emotions for myself because I had been in a similar situation. Sitting in hospital rooms day after day with her was emotionally draining because it put me right back in that situation that I had been in myself about 14 years prior. And so I had to really put up some healthy boundaries so that I didn't suffer from compassion fatigue and empathy overload because I was literally putting myself in her shoes. I knew how she felt coming back to the hospital day after day to see her loved one in the ICU. I knew those feelings because I had had them too. And so at the end of the day, when I went home and I was gone from the hospital and just had some time to myself, I would sit on the couch, get a book, do things that refueled my emotional cup, spend time with my husband, spend time with my daughter, spend time outside, put my feet in the grass, things that were going to refill my emotional cup because I knew the next day I had to go back and be there with her again. And so with time over the days, began to put up boundaries and remind myself Teresa, this is not you. She is not you. You are her friend. You are here for her, but you are not reliving your experience. And that helped to put a healthy boundary around my heart so that I wasn't experiencing 24/7 empathy for her. I was there for her. I was being helpful, but I was not allowing myself to be empathetically overloaded by her situation. And so you can practice things like journaling, somatic check-ins, and asking whose feelings am I carrying today? That is a really powerful question that will help you determine whether these are someone else's feelings that you are carrying because of empathy and compassion, or if these are your actual feelings. And then you can begin to process those properly through journaling or somatic check-ins. So somatic check-ins is when you check in with your body. Am I holding this emotional energy in my chest? Am I holding this emotional energy in my arms, in my shoulders? Where is this emotional energy affecting me physically, so that you can begin to work that out? Maybe you need to do some yoga. Maybe you need to do some stretching. Maybe you're holding it in your back and you need to do some stretches to stretch it out. But really paying attention to your body, because you'll start to notice where you're holding these emotions. Okay, so day 3, we talked about emotional energy, overstimulation, and decision fatigue. Modern life is noisy, friends, and it's costing us our clarity. We talked about how constant inputs, notifications, multitasking, to-do lists, all of that drains our mental energy. I talked about how a few times a day I take off my smartwatch so that I put it on something soft so that I don't have to hear the notifications coming through. I put my phone on do not disturb when I have a task that I really need to focus on. I create to-do lists so that I can clear the thoughts of what I need to do out of my mind, and I can start to make space for some rest and clarity around what needs to be done right now and what can wait. So we need to be able to recognize decision fatigue. The exhaustion that comes from making too many choices, especially small ones, is a huge suck on our mental energy. So I talk about how I actually have simplified my wardrobe. I have all the same color yoga pants. I have a few that are different colors just in case I decide to be a little crazy that day. But all of my yoga pants are the same color. So I can literally pair them with any workout top that I need to. I have cardigans in every neutral color. Most of my tops are colorful and fun, so having neutral cardigans makes it really easy to just grab whatever cardigan matches whatever color top I am wearing, or whatever color pants I am wearing that day. Most of my pants come in neutral colors for the same reason, because it reduces the amount of decisions that I have to make in the morning when I am choosing what to wear. People used to tell me all the time that I was always dressed up everywhere because I used to wear dresses everywhere. They didn't actually know that my decision to wear dresses was actually reducing my decision fatigue, because I could literally grab a dress, grab a neutral cardigan, and grab my neutral shoes and walk out the door. No outfit coordination needed. So as many decisions that you can reduce in your life, the better. If you get emails that are usually about the same thing, create a template that you can copy and paste into the email, change all of the pertinent pieces that are specific to this person, and hit send. Reducing the amount of micro decisions that you need to make throughout the day will help so much with your decision fatigue. Reducing the number of food options that you have. If you are a person who is okay with eating similar things every single day, do it, because that's less decision fatigue that you have to deal with. Meal prepping is a great way to reduce decision fatigue because then it's already made. You're literally just heating it up. What can you do this week to reduce your decision fatigue? What small changes can you make? So, making small changes is big impact. I think I said this a million times last week. Small changes, big impact. I mean it again here too. Okay, so creating a mental boundary routine. What you let in and when. So I am very, very particular about what I consume and when. So if I consume social media after 9:30 p.m., I will end up scrolling till about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. So I am very, very, very strict with myself about what I consume and when. After 9:30, the only thing I am reading or scrolling on my phone for is the Bible app or an actual physical book. Because if I pick up my phone and I open Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, I am going to miss my bedtime because I have zero self-control because I am a giant toddler. And I will not go to bed on time. So setting those mental boundaries is so important to protecting your mental energy. So that might look like for you that from noon to 1, you don't consume any work emails or any text messages from colleagues or supervisor, because from 12 to 1 every day you eat lunch and then you stretch, because that is rest for you in the middle of the day. So setting mental boundaries and having a routine for it allows you to control what is coming into your mind and when. So the power of default decisions is, I cannot emphasize how important it is to have some default decisions. These are things like meal plans, workout wear, like I was saying, and routines. All of this will help to reduce the mental clutter. Building in white space. So if you've ever heard of white noise is just like a noise or like ocean sound, something that is ambient that your mind doesn't have to think about, music without lyrics. We do that to drown out outside noise. So you might put it outside of your kid's room at night so that y'all can watch TV, but your kid can't hear the TV sounds and they will actually go to bed. We can do the same thing in our brain. We can create white space so that we have time to just sit in the silence and not have any outside forces invading our mind and our mental energy. This looks like tech breaks. So taking a break from your technology. Like I said, I take off my smartwatch. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I read a paper book instead of doing something on my phone so that I don't get distracted with social media. This could also look like having a quiet morning routine. My daughter and I go on a walk every morning, and it is a tech-free walk. If she sees, once I set the like GPS for our walk to track our walk, the phone goes in my pocket and it does not come out until we are done and I am turning off the tracker. So if she sees me take out my phone, she's like, hello, this is no free or no phone zone. And so I just put it back in my pocket and continue our walk. Create maybe a no decision time. So set a timer on your phone, and from this hour to this hour, I will make 0 decisions. Do not email, do not text me, do not call me, because from this time to this time, no decisions will be made by Teresa. So what does that look like for you? What does white space in your day look like for you? It doesn't have to be an entire hour. It could be 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a perfect amount of time to reset your mind, create that calm, get you out of fight or flight mode, and allow you to take on the day even stronger. So day 4 was all about physical energy. Real rest, nourishment, and movement. So day 4 reminded us that our body keeps the score. If you have ever read that book, The Body Keeps the Score, then you know what I'm talking about. But that book talks about how our body remembers the trauma, even if our mind cannot. Our subconscious may be suppressing the memories, whatever it is, but your mind may not remember the trauma, but your body does. So it is important that we are taking care of our body and recognizing when our body is sending us signs and symptoms that it has had enough. So we talked about the 7 types of rest because sleep alone is not enough. You need creative, sensory, emotional, and social rest. So we need to be resting all the way around. We need to be resting our minds, our bodies, and our souls so that we can truly come back ready to attack the day. So what are you doing? What are you doing to rest your creative mind? Are you taking creative breaks? If you are a creative person, it is important to take breaks from creativity and do something mundane, do something active so that you are resting your creative mind. What are you doing to rest your senses? Rest your sense of smell, your sense of taste, your sense of sight. Your eyes can get overwhelmed with visual input all the time, especially if we are looking at our screens 24/7, right? So we need to make sure that we are taking time to rest all aspects of our minds, our bodies, our souls. So, um, let's see. Sorry, I lost my place. Gosh darn it. Y'all bear with me. Oh, here we are. So this is the one. This is the one where people don't like me. That's okay. But we're talking about how inadequate nourishment contributes to chronic fatigue. So if we are skipping meals, if we are caffeine dependent, or if we are having sugar crashes, all of that is going to drain your energy. And I know intermittent fasting works for some people. I know keto works for some people. Carnivore works for some people. I am not talking about a specific diet. I am talking about talking to a real professional. I have started working with a dietitian and I have never felt more energized. I've never felt better. I've never slept better. My body has never functioned better. This is TMI, but I have regular periods for the first time in a long time. And it's all because of the way that I changed how I nourish my body. And so I would encourage you to speak to a professional, see how you need to be nourishing your body. Is it intermittent fasting? Is it a ketogenic diet? Is it a Mediterranean diet? Is it just a balanced diet? Is it eating at certain times of the day? What works for you so that you are functioning at your highest peak level and you feel good doing it? So that's my soapbox on nourishment. But we also talked about ways to use movement as fuel rather than punishment. So think joyful movement, not just workouts. What kind of movement brings you joy? I hate going to the gym. I like running, I like walking, I hate going to the gym. So for me, going to the gym is not joyful movement. I hate lifting weights. I hate the ab cruncher. There's a lot of things that are not joyful movement for me at the gym. Joyful movement for me is walking, taking a jog, playing tennis, playing pickleball. That is joyful movement. I also enjoy yoga. So what kind of movement do you enjoy? Figure that out and do more of that. That can be fuel to refuel your your energy tank. So the myth of hustle culture is awful these days. Your body needs much more maintenance than we suspect. We cannot hustle all day, every day and neglect our bodies. We cannot, because our bodies will give out and there will be no more hustle. So I want to encourage you to think about how to rest and replenish your body, your mind, your soul, your creative self, your sensory self, your emotional self, your social self. Let's take care of our body in all aspects, not just mentally, not just financially, not just socially. We've got to rest and replenish in all aspects of yourself. So I want to encourage you to create a realistic self-care plan, not just like one random treat yourself day, but a true rhythm of self-care. So let's dive into day 5, which was creating your energy reboot plan. So we ended this series by bringing it all together and helping you create your personalized plan to identify your top 3 energy drains and a mat to set specific boundaries or shifts. So go back to the beginning of this episode. What are your 3 energy drains? Your top 3. Is it emails? Is it decision fatigue? Is it compassion? Is it caring for a loved one? What are your top 3 drains? Use your journal, use your energy journal, and then identify your top 3 energy drains. What specific boundaries or shifts can you make? Small shifts. Remember, small shift, big impact. What small boundaries or shifts can you make to help minimize those energy drains? If your energy drain is compassion or caring for someone, can you take micro breaks throughout the day to go scream in a pillow, to go take a shower and cry, to go talk to a friend if that replenishes your energy levels? What can you do? What micro shifts can you make to help set specific shifts and boundaries so that you aren't being depleted by those top 3 things all day, every day? So schedule in daily rituals that restore your emotional, mental, and physical energy. Again, they don't have to be huge. Micro shifts. Maybe you realize that walking replenishes your energy. Can you fit in a few 5-minute walks around the building? Can you fit in a 10 or 15-minute walk in the morning? Can you just walk around your backyard for 3 minutes before you start your day? But create a daily ritual that is going to help you restore your energy mentally, emotionally, and physically. Build a non-negotiable rest into your week. Not just when you get around to it, it has to be non-negotiable. You are not scheduling something over it, nothing except fire, flood, blood. I call it BFF, blood, fire, flood. If it's not one of those things, it is not interrupting your rest. And if it does, reschedule it for another time in the very near future. But it has to be non-negotiable rest. It has to happen, because if you don't, you're going to burn out and you're going to break down. And I don't want that for you, friend. Include a support system in your energy reboot plan. Someone who helps you recharge, and how do you stay connected with them? That needs to be a part of your plan. You need to know who they are and how you're going to stay connected to them. Let them know that they are a part of your energy reboot plan, and tell them, I might reach out to you from time to time because I might need your help doing XYZ. Let them know. Create a check-in routine to monitor your energy levels weekly. So this might look like sitting down and journaling your energy at the end of the week. How do I feel? Where do I feel my highs were? Where do I feel my lows were? I would suggest at least once a week do this, but if you can do it daily, that would be amazing. A quick voice memo to yourself at the end of the day. I really felt drained after lunch today. I felt great this morning, but this evening I just want to hit the bed and I don't want to do anything. Just a short little check-in with yourself. So this series was powerful because it reminds us that energy management is life management. You don't need more hustle. You need more clarity. You need more intention. You need more restoration. If you missed the live series or you want help creating your own energy reboot plan, reach out to me. This is actually something that I do in my VIP days. So we set aside an entire day, either 4 hours or 8 hours, to just focus on your energy reboot plan. We do all of these steps. We figure out what your big three is. What are your big three energy drains? We come up with daily routines to restore your mental, emotional, and physical energy. We build a non-negotiable rest time into your week. And we determine who your support system is. And then we come up with a way for you to do your weekly check-in with yourself. So if that is something that sounds like it would be a good fit for you, drop me some comments, reach out to me, email me, go on my website. All of my contact information is there. But I would love to walk through this with you. If you know someone who needs this, share it with them. Share it on your social stories. Take a screenshot and share it there. You could be the reason that someone finally slows down and breathes just by sharing this episode. Until next time, be well, be kind, and may you find some rest this week. Bye.